Welcome back. So this is session 4 of our interoceptive exposures with our individual with panic disorder and agoraphobia. So we'll catch up on his homework with, if you remember last session we did all the interoceptives, and we'll be going from there. Hey John.
Hey.
You look a little better off than last session, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, no, a lot since then. That was unpleasant before, but keep working on it. I've been doing a lot this week.
Awesome. I can't wait to review the homework with you and see what's come of it. So here's the agenda for today. You had 3 kind of things for homework, just if there's the panic attack record, if you had any panic attacks. Then you had the in vivo Star Wars exposure in the gym.
Twice.
And the interoceptives. So then we'll kind of review the hierarchy. We'll hit some of the interoceptives again, and then figure out homework.
Okay.
Okay. Anything you want to add?
No. I mean, it's going well. I feel a million times better at this point.
You'd look a lot lighter, if you will, if that makes sense.
Well, it's all the gym. I got to the gym a lot this week.
A lot. Okay. So let's talk about panic attack records. So tell me about your panic attack stuff.
Well, I had one, sorta, I guess.
Okay, walk me through it.
It's when we got to the Star Wars premiere. We went to the midnight show on Tuesday.
You're kidding.
No, it's like there's so many geeks and costumes and weird masks and crammed in. It was, I knew it would be a lot, but it was, it was mildly overwhelming.
Okay, you put a 6.
Yeah.
So this is moderate-ish.
Well, I mean, it helps that these are my people. They're not scary business contacts. They're geeks like me, but it was pretty crowded and it was uncomfortable, but I could do it.
So how did you decide on the 1201? Because your homework because when we talked about it, you're like, there's no way, it can't be.
I wanted to see Star Wars.
Okay.
I figured I'm going to have to do it anyway. It's going to be crowded for 2 weeks, so I might as well get to see it now.
Okay, so walk me through the panic attack stuff.
I mean, same as, before, just chest hurt, heart raced, felt shaky, unsteady.
Mm-hmm.
But I just, as slow as those places are in big crowds, I just kind of stood in line and waited it out. Try to pay attention to it like we talked about, and eventually, by the time we got to our seats, I was all right.
Okay, so you said you paid attention to it.
Mm-hmm.
You recognized it. What did you write down here? Thoughts like?
I came to see Jedi. I'm going to see Jedi.
Okay.
And then just waited out while getting my Slurpee, and then by the time I slowly got up to our seats, it was okay.
And you put here, it was okay pretty quickly.
Yeah, it didn't take long. You sit next to some kid with a Darth Maul paint that looked like he'd spent all day on it. It was cool.
Okay, so did you have fun?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then we went again. This weekend, I couldn't convince her to go a 3rd time, but twice was good.
That is so cool. Okay, and you got your Slurpee, so even if you you have that, it sounds like, was that a safety behavior so that you could leave?
Oh, I always get a Slurpee.
Okay.
I like a Slurpee.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah,
all right.
It went well.
So what about work? Any things that were, so just this, the crowded opening of the Jai?
Yeah, I mean, work is, just annoyance, but I didn't have any of that, at all.
Okay.
I figure if I can cram in with all those people in a enclosed space, it's just not going to be that big a deal for people I see every day.
So if I can cram it in with that many people,
mm-hmm.
It's not going to be a big deal for work stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't this week at least.
Okay. All right. So let's go to the in vivo. You kind of went through it in some ways with the panic attack. So that happened with the Star Wars, but you had the assignments of the Star Wars and the gym a couple of times.
Yeah, I did gym too. I got that written down somewhere. Yeah.
Okay.
Did some other stuff. That was the movie. Went to the gym, 1, 2, 3, 4 times. I'm going as soon as I leave here too.
Really?
Yeah. The
Wait.
first time it sucked, you know. It was like I
Mm-hmm.
was really worried. I really want my friends to rip on me for being gone so long, especially if they knew
Okay.
why.
Did you go by yourself or with your friends?
No, my friends, they were there
Okay.
lifting that night.
So when you left here, in some ways you wanted to start on a Sunday when you thought they'd be watching the Foos,
Yeah.
but you ended up starting with an evening.
Yeah, well, I kind of thought like with the movie was a lot harder than what I thought, just hanging out with people I know. So I just went back early.
All right. So your thoughts were
I haven't been in the gym in a while. I hope nobody asked too many questions.
before you went, anxiety at 7
Yeah,
out of 10. Yeah.
yeah. And then, you know, quickly subsided. You know, it just, I mean, I think I wrote over here, it's like as soon as I got into it, it was like I had never left.
You put the duration of the anxiety was 1 to 2 minutes.
Well, once it was there, yeah. It's
Right.
like the anticipation was much
Mhm.
worse. But
It's-
the actual event wasn't.
Right. What's this last part say?
As soon as I was there, I was fine. It's like I hadn't left.
Like I hadn't ever left.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
no, it went well. And people did make fun of me, but it was the same way they always used to make fun of me. So it's just no
Okay.
big deal.
That's really cool. All right. So what's the next one there?
The gym again, you know, I was a little nervous because I decided the second time I was going to run, or, well, you know, the gerbil machine, not the treadmill,
Mhm.
but haven't done that in a while. And I was a little scared,
But anxiety rating of a 4.
yeah. And 5 minutes in, I was like breathing hard because I haven't been doing it, and
Mhm.
it was fine, you know.
Okay, so breathing hard, and if I remember correctly, like the knee, the running in place from before,
Yeah, that was no fun.
you had that as a 70 for anxiety. That was one of the highest in your hierarchy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, we'll get to the interoceptive stuff later, but like, that's awesome. All right.
Yeah, no, it felt good. And, you know, I just wanted to keep doing it. We went and saw Star Wars again Friday, so it didn't work out then. You know, it was more important to see Star Wars.
Okay.
And the second time through, wasn't nervous really at all, and you know, was able to watch and see stuff that I, you know, might have missed some of the first time.
Okay. So, no anxiety meant I could actually see stuff and have fun.
Yeah, yeah, it was a good time. I mean, mostly as much as it can be with all the lies they told, but it was still cool.
Like lies from the cinematic
Yeah, J.J.
interpretation.
Abrams, he didn't grow up watching this stuff. Like we could waste a lot of time going over the flaws.
Okay. And then let's see. So Friday.
Yeah, Friday I just went to the gym. I didn't
Okay.
have any qualms
Sorry.
about it.
Zeros.
Yeah,
Good time with friends.
yeah. And then again yesterday, but you know, slight little mild bit of anxiety, but it was more because it was bench day and I'm weak than it was worry about anything going wrong. I didn't want to look Nancy,
Okay.
you know.
So what did you learn?
This stuff ain't gonna kill you, and the more you do it, you know, it's this whole cycle of avoidance, like you talked about before. It can be extremely unpleasant, but it isn't harmful.
And on a couple of these things, especially towards the end of the week, it quickly got easier.
Mm-hmm.
Have fun. Good time.
Yeah.
It's good and fun.
No, I'm happy to be up and active again. Like, you don't realize how bad it is on you to sit all the time, and when you're doing it, you know, you get up and you move, it feels better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's really cool to hear. Like that's awesome work you've done.
Well, thanks.
Okay. Okay, so let's go to the interoceptive. I know last time you left here just emotionally, like physically drained.
I was unhappy with you last time.
That's fair. That's fair. And you're back, and I appreciate the work that you've been
Well,
doing.
it's like by the time I left and it was, you know, getting home, I had to sit in the car a few minutes, make sure I could drive. And it was like, you know, think about it, you feel better. It was way worse than anything on the airplane. It was like, she's right, you know, you do more of this unpleasant stuff, you'll be better.
Okay, so did that translate to completing? So the 2 that we had for you, right? You were going to do the mirror one, which we ended session last time with.
Yeah.
And then if you got to the point where that was boring, then you'd move up to the over breathing. So
Yeah.
tell me how, what came
I
about
only
that.
did one in the mirror because it was quickly boring. It was like, I mean, I was a little weirded out to do it to start with, but also embarrassed that this is a thing. My wife is like, "What are you doing?" And I'm looking in the mirror. You don't ever look in the mirror. Like, what is wrong with you? So,
Right.
and then I felt embarrassed enough to just, do it anyway, but then think like, this is not going to be harmful. And it was fine.
Okay, so let's go through kind of your thoughts. So you put embarrassment down here, some anxiety. So what were kind of the thoughts? Because you went into thoughts, and then we had these mini studies, how you talked about them to kind of test these ideas.
It was like, first, this will freak me out, because when we did it here, it wasn't real enjoyable.
Yep.
But then also, this is dumb. Like, what is this scary about just looking in the mirror, And for evidence, I didn't have any, because this can't possibly be harmful. You could just stare at yourself,
Right.
And then by the time I got into it, it was fine. It's a little weird at first. My wife commented on it was weird, but it didn't hurt anything.
Well, in some ways, I wonder if your wife being there actually would have put it to be even a higher level of like scrutiny on, not scrutiny necessarily.
No, I told her to go away. It was like I'm doing my homework. Just leave me alone.
Okay, but yeah, very, very quickly. So, started off 45. So yeah, it shows that kind of anxiety, but very quickly, 30, 20, 15, 10. Like.
Yeah. It was fine. It was like when it came around the next day to do it again, I was like, this seems pointless. I'd rather use the time and do something harder.
Okay, so you moved on to the over breathing then.
Yeah, I did that a couple of times too. I was a little scareder at first. And this is before I'd been to the gym.
Okay.
Just because I know my heart would get up and
Right.
chest might hurt. I think I wrote, "This is gonna suck.
You did, yes.
I'll lose control and I can't breathe."
Okay, so great, because that was the anxious cognition, right? I'm gonna lose control, and we're testing that, or you're testing that. So.
Yeah, and then the evidence to support elevated heart rate's been hard in the past. It's been painful, and this is exactly what it feels like. When these things hit me, that's the primary thing that I noticed. So I was a little out of sorts when we first started doing this. But it was the same way. It was like maybe not as fast the first time to get used to it, but it didn't take that long.
Okay. So the first time it took 5 minutes for you to kind of habituate here. All right. And I want to give you props just for like looking at this too. You didn't just quit after the distress was decreased by half. You went from your peak of 85 and you stuck with it till you were at a 10.
Yeah, I sort of wanted to see if you curtail too soon, you have to extrapolate. If you just waited, you could actually observe. So I wanted to see how low it would get.
Okay. And so what did you find?
This did suck, sort of, but it was bearable, and I don't need to get spun out about it.
All right, so that increased heart rate, which you talked about, that was kind of exact symptoms you experience when you have a panic attack.
But way different at the end than the beginning. It's the same way. Like just anticipating that happening was way worse than actually getting into it.
So were the symptoms the problem, or your interpretation of?
For sure, the interpretation. I mean, I used to be an athlete. I did this on purpose all the time. It's like I know it can't hurt me. It just it felt
that
like
gut feeling, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first time, 5 minutes, great. Second time, walk me through this one.
I mean, it started out way easier. It was like, I did this before. I went to the gym, Wednesday night. Like, I wasn't all that worried about it. It was more worried about what if it's a lot harder than I think. and it real quick was, habituated.
Yeah, and down to a 0.
Yeah.
Not even like,
Yeah, no, it was just.
You started out at a 40.
Yeah. It's like, this is dumb. I guess too, I wrote curiosity, but I'm not sure that's an emotion, but I wanted to see what would happen.
Okay. And your prediction was, this could be uncomfortable, but it'll be okay.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, the day before the gym too, I mean, it was evident that these things are not going to harm me.
Okay. And what is the second one?
Fear is just fear. It doesn't have to control you.
Okay. How cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
No, this has been a much more pleasant week than the last one.
Well, and the fact that you went from, some of the homeworks that you had assigned, like had some cushions, or we could say some, we did it on a hierarchy, but like a little bit of that safety when you schedule Star Wars for not the opening day at 12:01, but we'll do it at an evening that will probably be busy. But you went ahead and did 12:01, and then you went an evening one again. The gym, you said it would be more difficult with your friends. You initially made plans to go, in the afternoon just to get back, but you went with your friends.
Slink in with all the other old fat people. Sunday afternoon.
Okay, this is huge.
Oh, I feel better all around.
I'm circling the big one. Fear is just fear. It doesn't have to control you. Your words, these aren't mine.
Yeah.
And this is after doing the over breathing, which is one that is not an easy one to do. I mean, it's definitely physically arousing.
Yeah, it seemed scary before, but it's all right.
Okay. So I want to take this time to go over, review both your, start off with the in vivo exposure hierarchy, just to see where you're at with these things right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's start with confrontation in general.
I mean, I guess I get nervous about that, but not in the same way,
Okay.
The last few months, it's been, I'm worried what it does to me physically. Now I don't like it.
So if we go through here, your anchors for the SUDS, if we go to that same 0 to 100, where would?
20.
Okay.
But like not because like my heart rate increases. I think I can deal with that fine now. I don't like it.
All right. Initial session, when we did the hierarchy, it was a 50.
That's better.
You haven't even this hasn't been an assignment. This hasn't been something.
Yeah.
And so just by what you've been doing, we've seen that decrease.
Yeah.
Okay. Gym, working out by yourself. How distressing would that be?
None. I'm fine. Like I said, I was headed there as soon as I leave here.
Okay. How about gym with friends?
Well, none. I would just say some, but not, for nervousness. They're just offensive.
We all have friends like that.
Yeah.
So last session, gym by yourself was a 65.
Yeah, that seems like a year ago at that point.
Okay.
Like it's fine now.
Okay. Going to the movies alone.
No, I'm fine doing that. I mean, 5 maybe.
Okay. With your wife.
A 0. I mean, we had fun the second time.
All right. How about lunch meeting with people you know from work?
Like 10. I still don't really like that, but it's.
Okay, but if we're going through.
Yeah, it's feasible to do it, no problem.
What about if you had to go to a lunch meeting with clients and it was crowded?
Oh, I don't know, maybe slightly higher, 15.
Okay.
That's, unpleasant for everybody, I think.
Okay. Going to the store in the daytime.
Oh, 0. You can't be as crowded and crammed together as the Star Wars opening.
Do you remember what your when you first put it on the hierarchy, what your rating was?
I mean, it would have been really high. I know I hadn't done it in forever. It's like 70 maybe.
It's a 90.
90 out of 100?
Yes, and you told me 0 right now.
That's a big difference.
So the last one here, airplane.
I guess any residual anxiety is more about the incompetence of the driver than it is of the physical sensation.
So if we're going again on your worst panic 100 and 0 is sitting in a home alone with no noise.
20,
Okay.
maybe 25. I don't know. Much less. I mean, I think I could bear it. You know, I don't want you to tell my boss that I still don't like to travel.
I don't talk to your boss without any written consent. Okay, and that was a 98.
Yeah, no, that one I would have said was dialed up near the very top.
Okay, and so if 20 or 25, the airplane is your highest. Wow.
Yeah, you're magic. You know, you fixed me.
And I didn't fix you. These many studies that you did, you being able and willing to sit with it to see what happened, for you to get your algorithm, if you will. You know, that's the work that you've been putting into.
Calibrate a little more.
Okay, so wow, that's awesome. Well, let me get a little more information. Let's go through the interoceptives to see where you're at with those. So, looking at the mirror now.
Oh, it's 0. I mean, it was pretty evident that was going to be pointless after the first try. You know,
Okay.
this is silly.
How about overbreathing?
Yeah, 0.
Okay. Staring at a blank wall.
Yeah, I think it's fine. 0.
Running in place with your knee highs.
Well, I mean, mildly, but mostly just how old and out of shape I am. Maybe 5.
Okay. Having blood rush to your head.
I probably 0. I don't think that would be hard.
Spinning.
10 maybe. Like I don't really want to do that again, but it wasn't. After I left, you know, that was the thing that was on my mind the most, because I thought I was going to just completely fall out of my chair and vomit everywhere. But even if I had, you know, that wouldn't have been something that was dangerous. It was just really, really unpleasant.
Okay. And what does really unpleasant equate to?
Really unpleasant.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like I could do it if you forced me, but like I really don't want to.
All right.
Which is different, you know, than we started out, which it seemed terrifying. Now it's just like one more hassle in a litany of things you don't want to have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And thinking of spinning around and potentially puking as a hassle and not as this feared situation that you have to escape. You know, that's a pretty cool and significant change.
Yeah, because I was like, you know, sitting in the parking lot thinking, you know, I'm not coming back. This is awful, but you know,
Okay.
it got better.
Well, let's humor me. Let's stare at the wall for. Let's go through this. Like I believe you with your ratings, but let's go through this with staring at the wall.
Okay.
Okay.
How long do we have to do it?
So, well, I'm going to go through the monitoring form because it's not the exercise, right? This is going to be one of those mini studies. So, what's your fear level?
0.
It's a 0. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, all right. So, I guess it doesn't really make sense to
I
you.
could just stare at you.
No,
instead. if that would be a little weird, you know.
Okay. So, I mean, what do you think you would have to do to make these exposures concerning, or?
I mean, I almost like can't think why they were in the first place. It hadn't come up in the connotation of something else that already stressed me out.
Like
I
the
don't-
plane?
Yeah, I don't think it would have been a big deal. It was the same things I did, all my life before I started sitting all the time. Like you never even noticed them.
Right.
It was only because the other thing was scary that it took over.
Okay, so let me ask you a couple questions.
Yeah.
Have you on one or more occasion had spells or attacks where you suddenly felt frightened, uncomfortable, or uneasy, even in situations where people would...
Like ever? I mean, that's why I'm
Like
here.
ever, yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you now concerned about having another one of those?
I mean, no, not really. I don't want to, but I know that if that happens, it's not, it's not gonna kill me. It's just unpleasant.
All right. And the fact that now, to you, that you're like, I don't want to have one, but if I did, it would be unpleasant.
Yeah.
Do you see how different that is from wanting to think about quitting your job, or that you might be fired, or presenting to the ER?
Yeah. Yeah, because it seems like, ridiculous that you would quit over inconvenience. At this point, it didn't seem like that a month ago, but
Right.
now, yeah.
What do you attribute that to?
I mean, just staying in there and taking it to the chin one time, and it gets easier. Sort of like that didn't kill you. Get up, walk it off, you'll be all right, and then every time you go back, it seems a little less.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the exact, rationale for both the in vivo and the interoceptive exposures.
Yeah.
Okay. And so one thing I haven't checked on in a while, like, how's your sleep?
It's fine.
Any panic attacks at night?
No.
Okay.
I mean, the premiere was like the only one in probably 10 or 12 days. I mean, since I left, here.
Okay.
Um,
All right. So my question for you is, what do you need to do to keep making sure you're not engaging in safety behaviors and avoiding, because you've got this?
I mean, I guess just need to remember to do it. That's what I was going to ask you about, is like, is there utility to... I mean, I don't know. I know you keep saying you're not the reason for it, but, it took 4 weeks when it's been going on forever, and I don't know. I don't know if something about that helps me facilitate the right kind of activity or not.
Well, and that's a great thought to have, and something that definitely, there's nothing magic about what we're doing here. You got it. You got the model of your panic symptoms. You understood the safety behaviors. You understood the connection between your avoidance cycle, and you are willing to do the work. So as long as you keep pushing yourself to not avoid things that are meaningful to you, that you don't escape and avoid, and when rationally know that it's not a difficult or a fearful situation, you're good. And so my job is to give you the tools and the understanding to be able to understand and essentially be your own therapist, and to be able to catch yourself if you're starting to slip back. So now is when I would say, well, essentially, if you continued coming here, we'd be going through the same things, just solidifying and really, when you're telling me, when I say, let's do this exposure, and you're like, great, 0. How do we come down from 0?
Boring, man. Yeah.
Okay.
There's nothing else to do to make sure it sticks. I mean, like, a little bit nervous about drift.
Well, and that's where what I would recommend is, let's put a session on the books in a month.
Like from today, you mean?
A month from today. Let's put it down. And I have every expectation you'll cancel it.
Okay.
I'll give you the homework sheets. I'll give you the monitoring forms. Even if you don't think that you need a session to come back and talk through them, they're still in your toolkit. there's still tools you can use if you need them. If
Okay.
you need that, in some ways they can be a safety behavior too.
Yeah.
After you've been doing 0, 0, 0, fear is just fear. It doesn't have to control you.
Mm-hmm.
Again, these are your words, not mine. It's clicking for you. You're understanding. And you're still being honest to say, I still don't want to have conflict. Like, new clients, crowded lunch isn't my favorite, and I can do it.
Yeah.
I don't have to like it.
Yeah, I didn't think anybody else liked it very much either. It's just weird.
But you don't have to be, so adverse that you're making excuses as to why you have to leave or concerned about your job.
Yeah.
But I'm here for you. Like, if you think that you'd like another weekly session just to keep you on track, we can do that. But I want to tell you, you don't need it.
I mean, I guess it's like a test then, right? If we wait.
Mm-hmm. Or if you're more comfortable, we can schedule in 2 weeks.
No, I mean, I think I'm all right. Like, I think by a month, I will have established a habit. If it's going to include laziness and avoidance, then I'll know it by then.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's all right.
Okay. So walk me through what you've learned. What do you know about yourself? What's changed?
I guess, like, the idea that you don't have to be afraid of your own thoughts. That a lot of things that seem extraordinarily scary aren't. When you try to monitor with a little bit of logic and reason, it's not nearly as bad as it seems. And that, even for being old and out of shape, like, I'm not unhealthy, it's pretty unlikely somebody my age is going to have a heart attack because they got scared, or got mad, in a situation.
And in some ways, because you initially presented to the ER multiple times, you had a cardiology thing that says your heart is beautiful. Your heart is fine. There is no problems there. So in addition to just figuring that out from the physiological stuff, you have a cardiologist saying, your heart's good.
Yeah. Right. I mean, that helped too. That was some empirical evidence, as much as you can trust physicians.
But even with that, you ended up at the ER again.
Yeah.
So, but that's another thing, right? It's that rationally, okay, the cardiologist did all the tests that would indicate, but there was still that, but my gut says something's wrong.
Yeah. And I think, like, the disparity between those things is what you learn just doing it. Like you said, if you don't turn away, you may learn something else as you get used to these situations.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the biggest thing, is just not escaping.
And do you see too that by completing some of these, you had, the anxious thoughts and predictions you had before the exposures that changed after, just by completing the exposures?
Yeah, no, it felt stupid at a point. It's like, it's just, how'd you ever get worried about this?
Well, and that, one-time learning. Drink that sour milk that one time, and I promise you, you don't have to be taught to sniff the milk every time before you pour it.
Start checking.
Right. So it was, you just needed the learning history to suggest these things don't equate to, I'm going to die, I can't handle it, I have to avoid.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate you scheduling a month out and not minding if we cancel. That's much more comfortable than just you're on your own.
No, and I'm here. Like, once you're a patient, you never have to go on the wait list. You can get back in if you were to need to.
Okay.
And with everything you've been demonstrating, with everything you've been doing, as long as you keep it up, I have every expectation that I will never see you again.
Well, you might see me, but maybe not here. Next time there's a Star Wars premiere.
I don't know if I'll be at the 1201, so you're probably still fine there. But I want you to realize how much of the changes, it's because you put these thoughts to a test. You put these behaviors and you challenge them. And as long as you continue doing that, it's really likely these same concerns are not going to come up again.
Well, an economist would tell you that's a bad business model. You
It,
just give everything away just as fast as you can and then like get out.
you know what? If I'm doing my job right, I'm trying to work myself out of a job. So
It's a weird
So that's-
profession.
that's a great compliment to have. But what I will do, since I plan for us potentially having to go through more interoceptives and things, I have panic attack records here. I've got exposure homework sheets for the in vivo, and I have some more of the exposure monitoring forms for interoceptives.
Okay.
So you can have a stack of them.
Alright.
You can use them just to kind of play with, to have fun with. It could be something that if it helps you walk through your own conceptualization, the next time boss man says, schedule yourself a flight.
Yeah.
To be able to walk through, okay, what are my thoughts? What is my anxiety? What's the worst that's going to happen?
Yeah. No, that's coming for sure at some point.
Right.
Didn't explode the last time. He's gonna lean on me again, I'm sure.
And to be able to think about how you want to handle it differently. Maybe be like, great, but I want an upgrade.
Yeah, that would be better.
But part of it is just the practice, right? And practice in real life means going and hanging out with your friends, finding the movie that you want to see and go.
Well, remember those things. Tell my wife that's my sustained homework is I get to pick movies and hang out with my friends. That's what she said. That's what made me better.
Okay. But just knowing too, like, you've got this.
Yeah.
You have the tools, you have the understanding, and as long as you keep practicing that and keep reminding yourself, fear is just fear. It doesn't have to control you. There's no need for me.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
So we will plan a month from now, and I hope you cancel.
Okay.
But I will be here if you think that you need that, or if you need anything in the future. But you've demonstrated that you've got this.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I know you say it's me, but thank you.
Well, it's been a pleasure working with you.
Yeah, you too.
All right. Take care.